So guess what? A senior White House official involved in undisclosed talks with top Putin aides. So the White House, as the progressive caucus withdraws their letter asking for Joe Biden to negotiate a peace deal in Ukraine, they had to retract that. They retracted it. The progressives retracted their letter asking for a peace deal in Ukraine. They got spanked by the Democratic Party for saying that, as they actually are negotiating. What? What?
Oh my God, Jimmy. I just hope that Jake Sullivan doesn't have to leave his post again because of another Trump coming. Remember, that's the guy that quit out of out of the dishonor of Trump coming in and talking about the CIA and then gave the speech.
Oh, really?
That's
no, I don't remember. Yeah. Oh, is that guy?
Yeah. I remember. Don't look at his dumb face he's making. Yeah, it's him.
Well, all I'm saying is, so they're having peace talks with Putin. These people at the White House are nothing but appeasers. Am I right? So let's get into the story. President Biden's top national security advisor has engaged in recent months in confidential conversations with top aides to Russian President Vladimir Putin in an effort to reduce the risk of a broader conflict over Ukraine and warn Moscow against using nuclear or other weapons of mass destruction, said frickin' officials. The official said that U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan has been in contact with Yuri Ushakov, a foreign policy advisor to Mr. Putin. Mr. Sullivan has also spoken with his direct counterpart in the Russian government, Nikolai Patrushev, the official added. Oh, so there's a lot of talk, a lot of chitty chatter.
Yeah.
You mean that's not collusion? The aim has been to guard against the risk of escalation and keep communication channels open and not to discuss a settlement of the war in Ukraine. No, we don't want to stop. Asked whether Mr. Sullivan has engaged in undisclosed conversations with Messrs. Yukevich or Patrushev, National Security Council spokesperson Adrian Watson said, people claim a lot of things. And then she said, sit on it, Richie. I know you are, but what am I? The unpublicized discussions come as traditional diplomatic contacts between Washington and Moscow have dwindled, and Mr. Putin and his aides have hinted he might resort to nuclear arms to protect Russian territory, as well as gains made in his invasion. Oh man, they can't help us. They can't help themselves, this Wall Street Journal. Officials didn't provide the precise dates and numbers of the calls or say whether they had been productive. Some former American officials said that it was useful for the White House to maintain contact with Kremlin as U.S.-Russian relations. You think it's useful?
Is the goal of this?
What in the fuck?
Is the
goal of this article? What's the goal of this article?
Well, yeah, is it that they want to? So obviously they're secretly doing the peace talks because they want to look like they really are going to hammer Russia all the time and don't want to. And the Wall Street Journal is going to expose that no, they secretly are trying to end this war.
No, that's not
Republican.
That's not what they're doing.
Oh.
They're actually not doing that. They're saying don't worry. They're not trying to end the war.
Oh,
that's what they're saying. No, don't worry.
Thank God.
Don't worry. They just don't want it to go nuclear, but they want to keep fighting because that's what this says. And they did not to discuss. They were there just to keep the channels open so we don't have a nuclear war, not to discuss the settlement of the war in Ukraine. That's not what we're doing. That's what this article is.
I was afraid we were going to start losing money on this thing.
I think it's always important, especially for nuclear-armed countries, to maintain open channels of communication to help understand what each side is thinking and thereby avoid a possibility of an accidental confrontation or war, said Ivo Dalder, who served as the U.S. ambassador to the North Atlantic to NATO during the Obama administration. Mr. Sullivan has spoken to Ukraine's leadership, urging them to publicly signal their willingness to resolve the conflict, a U.S. official said. The U.S. isn't pushing Ukraine to negotiate, the official added, but rather to show allies that it is seeking a resolution to the war, which has affected world oil and food. What in the F does this mean? You should be willing to resolve the conflict, but that doesn't mean you should negotiate?
Oh, to show the allies who are getting screwed by our bullshit war.
Yeah.
We're trying to have a resolution, so don't be mad for starving.
But don't actually negotiate. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to have it both ways. They're trying to bullshit our European allies who are going along with the sanctions against Russia to keep doing the sanctions. But look, they're trying to do peace. At the same time, they tell them, you better not do peace. So again, we're the terrorists, the United States. A Russian statement about the March conversation between Mr. Sullivan and Mr. Patrushev said that it took place at the initiative of the United States and that Mr. Patrushev has stressed the need to stop Washington's support of neo-Nazis and terrorists in Ukraine and facilitate the transfer of foreign mercenaries to the conflict zone, as well as refuse to continue supplying weapons to the Kiev regime. Ro Khanna says, I'm waiting for an apology from Twitter critics, not holding my breath. So Ro Khanna, while being a regular lying politician who red baits left and right if you challenge him about his support for war in Ukraine, he signed on to the letter by the progressives saying, hey, let's have a peace negotiation. And then people gave him shit because when they retracted the letter, he didn't. He stayed, no, he thinks there should be a peace negotiation. So tip of the hat for him doing that. And that's what that means. So people criticizing him for demanding a peace or staying on board with asking for peace negotiations, he was saying, look, I was right. They're freaking doing it all along.
Well.
But they weren't really doing it all along.
Well, Ro Khanna, that's a real 3/4 limp dick of a stand.
Isn't it? By the way, this is from the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists. They want U.S. defense to its workforce. Nuclear war can be won. Just so you know what the U.S. Defense Department is doing. Fear of nuclear war has warped the West Ukraine strategy. That's in the Atlantic. Leaders shouldn't give in to Putin's nuclear rhetoric.
I'd rather die in nuclear fire than do that.
That's what she's saying. That's Anne Applebaum, who doesn't think she's going to, or her kids are going to be wasted in a nuclear holocaust, but you will.
Yeah.
You will, you fucking moron. And she's allowed to
live
have
on a coast, I assume.
And if you have children, they should have been taken away from you a long time ago. But this is the kind of maniac, crazy shit that's okay in polite society, and they'll print it in the Atlantic. And you think Alex Jones is a mental case? Not you.
Shouldn't fear of nuclear war warp our Ukraine strategy?
Yes,
I vote for that.
100% it should.
Hey, my
100%.
strategy is getting warped by the fear of nuclear war.
Hey, we're doing live stand-up shows in Austin, Texas, Burbank, California, the Saturday after Thanksgiving, and in Los Angeles. Go to jimmydorecomedy.com for a link for all our tickets and become a premium member. While you're there, you get access to all of our premium content unedited.